following up on Sam Altman's comment that the world is not ready at all for what's about to happen with humanoid robotics. Now comes another issue with regard to humanoids. Thanks to CNBC for this one. U.S. tech giants are betting big on humanoid robots, but China is already ahead, analysts say. American tech companies are racing to usher in the development of humanoid robots, stressing their importance to the future economy. Comment on that at the end. But analysts warn that American companies are already at risk of losing out to China. Why? First, short background. Humanoid robots are expected to provide a range of use cases, such as filling industrial and service sector jobs. Now we get to the rub. Investor excitement surrounding the robots has been mounting amid increased mentions from tech leaders like NVIDIA's Jensen Huang, who ushered in the age of generalist robotics earlier this month as he announced a new portfolio of technologies for humanoid robot development. Put in simple English, NVIDIA is enabling generalist robots, general purpose ones that can do any task a human can. That is the goal, explicitly. In the manufacturing of robots themselves, Tesla's humanoid robot project Optimus appears to be leading in the U.S., with CEO Elon Musk announcing plans to produce about 5,000 robots this year. And there's another U.S. company whose factory came online last month, April, with the capacity of 10,000 a year. However, Musk will face stiff competition from China, just like he's now facing in EVs. Guangzhou-based Unity Robotics last month briefly sold 2 humanoid robots to consumers on the e-commerce platform JD.com. Meanwhile, Shanghai-based robotics startup Agility, also known as Jiwan Robotics, has matched Optimus's goal of 5,000 robots produced in 2025. China has the potential to replicate its disruptive impact from the EV industry into the humanoid space. However, this time the disruption will extend far beyond a single industry, potentially transforming the labor force itself, said Rake Knudsen, analyst at SemiAnalysis, an independent research firm. More on that at the end as well. Morgan Stanley, the investment bank, estimated the current building costs of humanoid robots could range from $10,000 to $300,000 a unit, depending on features. However, Chinese companies are already undercutting U.S. competitors in terms of price thanks to superior economies of scale and manufacturing capabilities, according to Knudsen. Well, folks, that's exactly what happens when you give up your manufacturing base. Unity released its G1 humanoid robot for consumers in May with a starting price of $16,000. Now, if this thing really is capable of doing all household chores already, $16,000 is a no-brainer. That's far less than a new car and far more useful. There are signs that China's progress in robots will go much further, Morgan Stanley said. The country has led the world in patent filings mentioning humanoid over the past 5 years, with 5,688 patents compared with 1,483 from the United States. So basically, in terms of patented features, China 5x the U.S. Our research suggests China continues to show the most impressive progress in humanoid robotics. And unlike the way things work here in the United States, the Chinese government has increasingly backed the space, calling for production at scale this year. China sees humanoid robots as an important industry because of their potential to mitigate looming labor shortages. Now, China's population is in outright decline, thus the future labor shortages. I think in the short term, 3 to 4 years, we will see humanoid robots initially applied in production lines And in the midterm, which is usually defined as 5 to 7 years, we will see them gradually spread into the service industry. Starbucks, as I've been saying. Now check this out, which I've also mentioned several times. Lee said that increased adoption will coincide with very fast decline in component costs, also noting that China owns around 70% of the supply chain for these components. So what they're saying is, just like TVs, computers, and everything else, these things are going to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And at massive scale, hold on just a minute, $5,000 a piece selling price is not unreasonable. Almost everyone will want one at that kind of price. According to Chinese state media, EV makers like BYD and Geely have already deployed some of Unitree's humanoid robots in their factories. The report warns that China is the only country positioned to reap the economic awards of intelligent robotic systems. To catch up, U.S. players must rapidly mobilize a strong manufacturing industrial base, whether domestically or through allied nations. And here we go. The deployment of humanoid robots will accelerate rapidly, aided by the development of AI. No kidding. With global annual sales reaching 1 million units by 2030, which I've said on a couple of recent videos, and 3 billion humanoid robots in operation within 30 years. 3 billion. So let's summarize this article. First of all, just like everything that's manufactured, China is far and away the most likely to sell the most and have the biggest market share of these things. Number two, they're going to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, which means more and more and more companies are going to start buying them, and households will start buying them as well. Why? Never go to the grocery store again. Never go to the dry cleaners again. Never go to the liquor store. Never go to have to buy cigarettes. It's all done for you. I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying it is what it is. And this channel deals with reality. And then 3 billion of these things walking around within 30 years. I've been saying it for several years now. We are entering the iRobot age now, starting this year, where you will start seeing, slowly at first, but then very rapidly, many, many more humanoid robots walking around cities. Small towns will get them too. Why? 24/7, 365 farm labor that doesn't require vacations, sick time, just doesn't show up for work, none of that. So let me set the table for you. And I urge you to watch the short on Tuesday. Mass unemployment is almost here. I'll explain that on Tuesday, but suffice it to say, this is going to be broad-scale impact. White collar, blue collar, healthcare, transportation, everything. Human beings are exceptionally poor at forecasting exponential technologies. I have spent my working life studying them and working with them. And I can tell you, as I've said before, that at a certain price point, a robot wins over a human every single time. Meaning a company is going to buy a robot before it hires a human once they get cheap enough. This is why I keep urging you to prepare yourself for all this and give yourself the longest runway that you can have before everything is automated and there's no work like there has been. Clearly, there's a massive societal impact to that. I'm not going to get into that because that isn't this kind of channel, but it is coming and it's going to happen and nothing can stop it. Nothing. Why? Because when countries compete against each other like this, there's nothing to hold them back. In fact, all of the incentives are exactly the opposite. Speed it up, speed it up, speed it up. So sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but there are occupations, I've mentioned them many times, that are resistant to automation and will last longer. And those are the occupations you want to be in. So watch videos where I have laid out what all those occupations are. It's clear from the title which ones they are. Also, I have made videos laying out step by step how to change your career. Now is the time. Next week, I will do a video that I believe is the first proof of the impact of AI on workforce. First quantitative proof. But that's next week. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.